بسم الله. بسم الله. Okay. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم. أما بعد. Okay, welcome everyone. You just give me a thumbs up, let me know that you can hear me well. So on YouTube, can you hear me, everyone? Likewise, on Facebook, everyone can hear me. Everything's working well. Okay. All right, those watching on YouTube, you can hear me well. Just thumbs up. Okay, good. Jazakallah. All right, thank you very much, both of you. All right, let us continue. So, inshallah, today, we normally at this time, as you've seen the posters and you've seen the advertisement, Jazakallah khair, thank you, that we normally go through Ayatul Ahkam. We're normally going through the Quran, going through verses which have rules pertaining to them, and we're inside Surah Nur, and most of the rules there are discussing social issues. But nevertheless, we are in the last 10 days of Ramadan, and we are now hitting the, tonight will be the 24th night, if I've got my numbers right. So it'll be an even night, nevertheless. We are looking for Laylatul Qadr, we are looking for Fizara. We are in need or in search of this blessing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. Now, the topic for today, very clear, right to the point, is Laylatul Qadr. Okay, what is this Laylatul Qadr? What are we discussing? What are we looking for? What is rewards? I know we've all heard many stories and we've read much about it. But inshallah today I want to connect everything, tie all up together so we have a very good understanding of what exactly is this night and what exactly is it that we should be chasing. So Laylatul Qadr is our topic for today. Brothers and sisters, when we look around ourselves, okay, when we look around the universe, we look around the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we come to see that Allah has created many different things. He's created human beings, He's created animals, He's created mountains, the skies. Allah has created so many different things. From amongst His creations, we also find that Allah has chosen some things over other things. Allah has given preference of some things over other things. Okay? Look at the example of human beings. Are all humans on the same level? Of course they're not. Some are superior and some are inferior, depending upon their taqwa, their ibadah, their worship of Allah, their knowledge, their understanding. People are very different. Okay, Allah says in the Quran, هَلْ يَسْتَوِيَ الَّذِينَ يَعْلَمُونَ وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. An example Allah gives is that a person who is learned in Islam, a person who tries, learns, implements, and a person who doesn't try, doesn't implement, doesn't do much, are they the same in the eyes of Allah? Of course, they can't be the same. One is closer to Allah than the other. Allah talks about that as humans. He says, فَضَّلَ اللَّهُ بَعْضَهُمْ عَلَى بَعْض. Allah has given preference or prefers some humans over others, depending upon, of course, how much ibadat and how good we are to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The thing that differentiates us, okay, the main thing that differentiates us is the barakah, the blessing that is put into these items, into these people. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He puts barakah in things that He chooses to put barakah into. Okay, I'll give you an example. If you look at the messengers, not all the messengers are on the same level. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He tells us, تِلْكَ الرُّسُلُ فَضَّلْنَا بَعْضَهُمْ عَلَى بَعْضٍ. There are some of the prophets that Allah has preferred over other prophets. A clear proof of that, the Prophet told us about ulul azmi min al-rusul. There are 5 prophets that are superior from all the other prophets. Nuh, Adam, Ibrahim, Musa, Isa, and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. These are the superior prophets out of all of the other prophets. Allah has clearly shown us that there is a preference. We're not allowed to not believe in any of the prophets. We believe in all of them. But we understand that at the head of them, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the best of mankind. And the other 4 then follow through. So there is a difference. Let's make this a little bit more, let's try to understand this a little bit more, a little better. Allah also has created places. Okay, you've got London, you've got New York, you've got Washington, you've got Lahore, different places. Let's create different places. You've got Mecca, you've got Medina, you've got Al-Quds. My question to you, is Mecca the same as Birmingham, for example? Do they carry the same barakah? Do they carry the same reward? If you were to pray in London, or if you were to pray in Mecca, which one would have more reward? Of course, there's no question of a doubt. It would be Mecca. Why? What's the difference? The difference is Allah has preferred, alaykum salam, Allah has preferred Mecca over all other things, over all other places. The prayer that you get in Mecca is multiplied thousands of times than the prayer you will do in Birmingham, London, or wherever you are. So Allah has given preference to places. Likewise in Medina, likewise Masjid al-Aqsa. May Allah give us the tawfiq and the ability to pray in Masjid al-Aqsa one day. So that's in places. What about in things? Barakah, blessings. And the word barakah, what it really means is ziyadatul khair. It means there's extra khair, extra good in this thing. So we said it could be a place, like we looked at Mecca and we looked at other places in the world. It could be a thing. Okay, so when you're going to open your fast, we're going to, run to the tap, fill up our glasses with water, drink some refined, cleaned Thames Valley water. Those of us who are Londoners, those who are up north, you're going to get some fresh spring water, hopefully. You're going to drink some of that water. Now, this water, alhamdulillah, there's barakah in it. It's going to quench your thirst. But if I had a glass of Zamzam and I had a glass of refined, cleaned Thames Valley water, which one of those do you think has more barakah in it? It's very obvious. It's Zamzam. There is barakah, there's blessings in it. There is something in it that this one doesn't have. Likewise, brothers and sisters, when we look at time, okay, when we look at time, we've got 7 days in the week. Which of those days is more blessed to Allah than any other day? Friday. It's obvious. Friday. Like in Friday, the whole 24 hours on Friday, the whole 24 hours, are they the same? Or is there some time that's more blessed to Allah than other times? Yes, there is. The Prophet ﷺ said that the 1 hour before Maghrib, that 1 hour is called Sa'atul Ijaba, that it's the time that when you make any dua, Allah will answer it. So Fridays, just before Maghrib prayer, that 1 hour or that bit of time just before the prayer, raise your hands and Allah will answer your supplication. So likewise, we're fasting now. When we make dua during the days and nights, alhamdulillah, our du'as are inshallah accepted. But the dua that we make prior to opening our fast, just before we open our fast, these du'as are accepted. So my point is, the concept of barakah, the concept of blessings, the concept of extra good, it can be found in places, it can be found in things, and it can also be found in time. All of these things, Allah chooses, and His wisdom, He knows what He does best. Likewise, when we look at the blessed year, Allah has given us 12 months. In these 12 months, there is a month which is far superior than any other month, and that is Ramadan. Inside of Ramadan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen 10 nights that are far superior than any other nights in the whole year, any other nights in the month of Ramadan itself. And these are known as the last 10 nights of Ramadan. Inside of these last 10 nights of Ramadan, there is further extra blessing on some of these nights more than other nights, which are the odd nights, 21, 23, 25, 27, 29. There is extra blessing on these odd nights. Then from these odd nights, there is one night which has the ultimate amount of blessings, and that night is Laylatul Qadr, subhanAllah. So 12 months, 1 month, 10 nights, odd nights, Laylatul Qadr. The whole of Ramadan, brothers and sisters, the whole of Ramadan, everything we are doing, the fasting, the prayers, the Quran, everything we're doing for a month of Ramadan, it's all about this one day. The importance of Laylatul Qadr is so significant that a whole month has been given to it. And a whole 10 days have been given to it so that we look for it and we search for it and we worship Allah so that we find it. That's how important it is. The example of Hajj, when you go for Hajj, you got like 5 or 8 days worth of rituals to do. You got things to do in those 5 or 6 days. If you miss it, you can make up for it, okay? But the Prophet ﷺ, he said, Al-Hajju Arafah. The Hajj is Arafah, the day of Arafah. If you miss the day of Arafah, your Hajj is null and void. You've got to come back and repeat it. You didn't have an Hajj, okay? Other things, if you miss them, you can make up for them. But Arafah, if you miss that, your Hajj is gone. Likewise, Ramadan is all about the last 10 days. These last 10 days are all about the odd days. The odd days are all about the Laylatul Qadr. And inshallah, that's our discussion today. Inshallah, we're going to look at this one topic of Laylatul Qadr. Okay, good. So we've had a look at that. Now, the issue of Laylatul Qadr is so important that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given this topic a surah inside the Quran. A surah inside the Quran known as Al-Qadr. And this is the surah that we're going to have a look at today. Now this surah, it starts, the very first verse, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا أنزلناه في ليلة القدر. Very first verse, okay? Respected listeners, if you're having trouble with YouTube or you're having trouble with Facebook, you can join us on Zoom as well. So you've got the option. And Mikhail has just put the Zoom ID out, so you can join us there if you're having problems there. Likewise on Facebook as well for some people who might have a weak connection. Other than that, let us continue. So when we look at this first verse, إِنَّا أَنزَلْنَاهُ فِي لَيْلَةِ الْقَدْرِ. If you follow the translation, so I'm going to be giving you the tafsir of this chapter of the Quran. So if you want to get the Quran and open it, have a look at it. So you got a Qadr and you might have a translation, whatever language you want to use next to you, so you can understand what I'm saying. It will help you. It will be much better for you. Or if you want to take notes, make notes as well, inshallah, as you see fit, inshallah. So inna. So the very first ayah starts with the inna. In means verily, indeed. There is no doubt about it. Na means we. Allah says, verily we. Now we need to stop here. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says we. But as Muslims, we say we believe in one God. So why are we saying we? That means more than one. Yes, it does mean more than one. But when speaking, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he refers to himself as we, the royal we. Okay, if you see any royalty, any king or prince or queen, when they're talking, they will also use the we when they're addressing and speaking. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is far superior than any king or queen of this earth. He deserves all praise and he refers to himself as we as well. Okay, Jazakallah Sulayfa, the Zoom ID is on the Facebook page as well, so you can all join in on Zoom for those who want to come to Zoom. Anyway, so Allah says, Inna, verily we, or Allah Almighty, anzalnahu, we have revealed it. We have revealed it. Meaning, anzala means something from a high position has come to a lower position. Anzalnahu, we have revealed it. So it hasn't quite been mentioned yet what exactly has happened. So what we learn from this, something came down on this night from somewhere high to somewhere low. The very first thing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created before all of this, Allah created a qalam, a pen. Allah created a pen. Allah knows best how that pen is. Then Allah instructed that pen to write. And the pen wrote every single thing from the beginning of time to the end of time. The pen wrote it. Inside of that was the kalam of Allah, the speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Quran. Allah knows best how. But it was inside that. And on this blessed night, Laylatul Qadr, it is said when Allah says, Inna anzalnahu fi Laylatul Qadr, we revealed it on this night. The whole Quran was taken from this really high place, wherever it was, known as the Lawh al-Mahfuz, the preserved tablets. Lawh al-Mahfuz, that's where the Quran was. Then from there, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala caused it to come down, and it came down to what's known as Baytul Izzah, a special place in the lowest part of the heavens, which is the closest part to us. It came down here to Baytul Izzah all in one go. Okay, all in one go. Then from there, and this happened on the night of Laylatul Qadr, that's why it's called the night of power. The whole of this happened on this night. Now, from there, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then sent Jibreel alayhi salam to go to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and to give him the Quran. And Jibreel gave him the Quran verse by verse, starting with Iqra. Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. And you know the story when Jibril took hold of the Prophet Muhammad and said, Iqra. And he said, وَمَا أَنَا بِقَارِئ, I am not able to read. He said, Iqra, you have to read. He said, وَمَا أَنَا بِقَارِئ, I can't read, I don't know how to read. And then finally he read, Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq, the very first verses that were revealed. And these very first verses revealed were in the night of power, Laylatul Qadr. So two things, the coming of the Quran from Lawh al-Mahfuz to Bayt al-Izzah, this is Laylatul Qadr. Likewise, the very first revelation to come down to the Prophet Muhammad Iqra, was also on the night of power, Laylatul Qadr. Then the rest of the Quran, it came over a period of 23 years, piece by piece, surah by surah, and it was completed over a period of 23 years. Then this Quran, in the initial stages, it was recited, people memorize it, and it was written as well, but the writing wasn't so important as important. It was more important that people memorize. But then as Islam started to spread and there was wars and people were dying, so there was problems, then in the time of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, Abu Bakr ordered all the bits of Quran that were written on wood and bones and all things, so all to be brought forward, and he collected it. He kept it all in one place. Likewise, he died soon after. Umar ibn Khattab, he kept hold of these items as well, all the Quran, bones and wood and whatever's written, all of these things were collected and they were given to Hafsa, his daughter, to look after. Then in the time of Uthman, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, Uthman, he put together the Quran in the form of a book. So he collected all these pieces, and then he got 2-3 people known as Katib al-Wahi, those who write down the revelation, and they checked the recitations and they checked what was being written, and it then was formulated, and hence what we have with us now is the Quran. And this was through the efforts of Uthman radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And hence, whenever you go by this Quran, what do we call it? You know, when you're children, what do your parents call it or madrasa call it? They say what? The Uthmani script, Uthmani Quran. Why is it Uthmani? Going back to Uthman, because he is the one who compiled it in this manner. Okay, so nothing he added, he just compiled it, put things together, checking, verifying, and the process was done. So this is what is known as Inna Anzalnahu, that it was revealed on this night, twofold, in that life, in the Lawh al-Mahfuz to Bayt al-Izzah, and likewise Iqra in this world as well. Fi, on what? On the night, Laylatul Qadr, on the night of power. Likewise, Allah doesn't make mention of the Quran. He kept it as a pronoun, inzalnahu. So even if you read in your translations, it will say it. So it's not being mentioned. In another verse in the Quran, Allah says, Alhamdulillah alladhi anzala ala abdihi al-kitab. Allah says, verily, all praises to Allah, the one who revealed to his servant this book, al-kitab. So again, it's not mentioned explicitly, but it's mentioned in Surah Al-Baqarah very explicitly. Allah says, Shahru Ramadan, alladhi unzila fihi al-Quran. Shahru Ramadan, this blessed month of Ramadan, it is the month that the Quran was revealed to you. The revealing of the Quran is so powerful that it deserved a full month for its blessing. In the next verse, so we looked at Inna anzalnahu fi laylatul qadr wa adraka ma laylatul qadr. This way of delivery, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he puts things in forms of questions, rhetorical questions. Allah says, and how will you know, or what do you know about this night? Such a powerful, what do you know about it? Allah is not asking us, Allah is telling us. And when Allah puts things in the form of a question, it's to make you think. So what do you know about this night? What is unique about this night, brothers and sisters? This is really beautiful, is that fasting was something that we had and the nations before us had. Salah was something that we had and the people before us had. Hajj is something we have and the people before us had. These things the previous nations had them. But Laylatul Qadr is something which is unique to the Ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. No nation had that before. We were given this beautiful gift. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he gave us this beautiful gift. Some of the scholars, they said the reason for that is because if you do worship on Laylatul Qadr, you all know this, you get much reward, up to 83 years worth of reward, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Alfi Shahr, 1,000 nights. It's as if you're praying for 1,000 nights. And if you do 1,000 months, Alfi Shahr, 1,000 months. If you're to calculate that, divide that by 12, okay, so you get the years, you'd end up with 83.3 years worth of worship, inshallah, that you will get on this one night. So some of the scholars, they said that because the previous nations, they used to live really, really old. They used to live long. For example, Nuh alayhi salam, we know in the Quran, Allah says he lived for 1,000 years minus 50, 950 years he lived for. So they had a long time to worship Allah. They had a lot of opportunities. Whereas we don't have the opportunity. Listen to this hadith I'm going to tell you. You may have heard it before, but if you haven't, listen to this attentively. And really, this will make you think about life. Okay? Those who are really, really young probably won't comprehend the significance of this hadith. But those of you who've lived a bit of life, you will appreciate what I'm about to say. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he said when talking about his ummah, he gave a life expectancy. He talked about what's the average age of believers of his ummah, how long will they live? And he said, أعمار أمتي, the average age of people in my ummah, ما بين 60 إلى 70, that which rotates between